Okay, Steve. I feel like on my screen it says Steven, so I feel like I need to be very official. Steven Jagger is with us. I feel like I say Steve all the time. Steven Jagger is with us. And the reason I want to chat, I have some questions that have come up from people in the real estate industry about what you guys are up to. So I'm just going to kind of hit you with some questions. Nothing too bad. I don't mean to scare you right out of the gates here, but you got to give us the update on what's going on with Addy. The reason I want to chat with you is I feel like a pretty cool big announcement on what you guys are up to. So for those who have never heard you before, can you just give a brief kind of recap of who you are in Addy, but then jump into some of these latest announcements?
Sure. Yeah. So, I generally go by Steve, but I don't know. I typed Steven for like
Steven looks very official.
Stuff.
It's very official. It looks very sophisticated.
It's fun. Whatever works for people is fine with me. So Addy is a online investment platform that enables everyone to own real estate. We have built a technology platform that essentially eliminates barriers to entry so that everybody is able to participate in the real estate market. We focus on institutional commercial grade real estate in Canada right now so that individuals can invest as little as $1 into a specific property. We've done 26 properties. Now the 26th actually is currently live on the platform. And this one that's live on the platform now is an apartment building in Vancouver on Cambie Street. But we've done a couple of hotels in Montreal. We've got commercial business parks in Calgary, industrial parks in Ontario. We've got an RV resort a couple hours outside Toronto. We did an affordable housing development project in Hamilton, which was awesome. I think it's over 1,300 investors invested in that, supporting a below market rental housing development for 96 new units coming into the Hamilton area. So that was exciting. So it's been really great. And so we do 2 to 3 or drop 2 to 3 properties per month. We're moving as quickly as we can to 1 to 2 a week. But yeah, overall it's going really well.
It'll be interesting to see. And I'm just kind of wondering what will happen in this business, working with people who invest in real estate. I've noticed over the years that as soon as headlines turn somewhat negative on real estate, and we're in one of those phases now, that naturally you get some people who are on the fence just saying they're going to hold. But the clients that we work with are buying, a single family home or a condo or something like that. So and it's a big portion of their savings that they would be using to do that. I'm wondering if you will not, or Addy will not be impacted by that just because of the size that someone's able to invest. Because if you can invest $1 or $10 or $50, and I know it's all relative to everybody's family, how much that means to you as a percentage of your savings. But I'm just wondering if that when the headline cycle changes on real estate from 6 months ago to the prices are going to the moon to now where no one knows where they're going to settle. I wonder with Addy if you just get a consistent influx because of the ability to put any price point in. It's going to be interesting. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here, Steve. It's going to be interesting to see what you guys go through.
Definitely. I think our real estate acquisitions team analyzes all the opportunities that come our way. There's definitely good and bad out there. Interest rates changing. Different markets like Vancouver and Toronto are different than Calgary and Edmonton. And so there's a lot to take in when it comes to reviewing these opportunities. But definitely keep in mind that single family houses and condos, which Addy does not do, we don't do that part of the market, is very different than buying an industrial business park in the downtown Vancouver area. Right, that's just different than buying a single family house. The markets trade differently, and so it works a little bit differently. There are challenges, of course, with all of it, but for sure, our acquisitions team just keeps digging through these opportunities, and then we make decisions. 9 out of the 10 deals we look at probably don't make it onto the platform. So only a handful actually do make it through the sort of a rigorous due diligence process.
Yeah. And I think in the properties you're looking at, everyone is kind of just naturally more geared to look at the fundamentals of the project. What is the income? What are the expenses? What are the fundamentals of the area? Sometimes when people are investing in a condo or a single family home, their decision is often influenced or tied to the price direction of those things. And they kind of will lose the ability to look at the fundamentals, like what's the rent, what are the expenses, what are the fundamentals in the area, and the projects that you're investing in, it's kind of just naturally geared to being very focused on the fundamentals, which is really, it's probably an advantage.
And I think if you look at those two Montreal hotels that we did, I think, like, personally, is they're gonna, like, people are fired up to travel. COVID's kind of ending, hopefully, fingers crossed. I hope I didn't jinx it, but I think, they call it revenge travel's coming. And I think that, like, those hotels, once they open, they're both in the middle of their renovations. When they open, I feel like they're just going to be packed because people are just ready to do stuff. So there's, like, that category of hotels, maybe the RV resort, those types of things are different than, I don't know, like a business park in Calgary, right? There's different ways to look at it depending on what's going on in the market, what month we're in, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And what you bring to the table is somebody locally in Calgary or locally in Edmonton, the ability to invest in a Montreal hotel, which really is, in a very easy way. So if you want to diversify across Canada, it's been rather difficult. You would need a referral, and what you're introducing is kind of launch the app, see what's available, and choose where you want to possibly invest. So that's really unique. Okay, I'm just curious. So what's going on? What's the latest with Addy? Give us some of the latest stuff.
So we launched an iOS app about 3 weeks ago, I think now, or maybe a month. Maybe 3 weeks ago. So the app is available on the App Store. The cool thing about the app is we launched the Addyverse with it. And so the Addyverse is essentially a digital representation of your Addy holdings. So there's, I don't know if you remember SimCity as a kid. There's basically a version, like a little digital version of your Addy properties. We call them mini props. So there's like a digital designed version of the building. And so depending on the number of properties you've invested in, that's what your Addyverse will consist of. And so there's 26 properties on the platform. I've invested in all 26. So my Addyverse has all 26 properties in it. And you can swipe through and move through the properties. You can click on the specific building and see what size of investment you made, what the projections are around it. And then below that is where you can see all of your portfolio and all of the property updates. So when property updates come in from the general partner, or our team puts in property updates of interesting things that are happening around the property, interesting announcements from city councils, whatever it is, all of that shows up within the portfolio. So people can, within the app, quickly keep an eye on their properties and sort of see what's going on within itself, as well as with the surrounding neighborhood. So it's a pretty fun experience for people
I feel
that
like
really enjoying it.
I feel like you guys have kind of bridged the gap, because so many people have been talking about, like, the metaverse and buying real estate in the metaverse. And the idea there was like, well, I don't know how much real estate can be created. Is an infinite amount, or, where is the value proposition? What you guys are doing is awesome to me, because it's a digital representation of the properties that actually exist in the real world. So that is super cool. And I think you guys might have to call that out, just so like, call that out really clearly, because for you, it's obviously very obvious that that's the case. But for some people, I think they didn't quite realize, because I had some questions and I was like, no, these are like properties tied to real properties in the real world. And then they were like, oh, okay, I get it. But at first they had thought you were building something out in the metaverse, just so you know.
I think you're right. And I think that's kind of the neat thing about what we're doing is I don't know if you're able to see it, but there's my Addyverse.
So cool.
Right. And but the neat thing is, like, that's the bottom one there. That's the Montreal hotel. And, but what you're saying is correct. These are, sure, they're cute designed images of a building, but the neat thing is it's underpinned by a real building that gives me the potential of capital gains and the potential of distributions coming out of it. So there's an actual hard asset underneath this sort of cutesy digital version of it, but it is a real building with real money involved.
And then I guess, Steve, what are you seeing on some of the trends kind of with Addy right now? Like, I know, we kind of talk fairly regularly, so maybe I'm asking stuff that you've kind of shared before. It's been too early to ask you again, but this space seems to get a lot of attention. Like, a lot of people in the real estate industry are now kind of coming to us and saying, hey, what do you think about, like, crowdfunding platforms or fractional ownership platforms? And they're kind of throwing pros and cons at me. So one of the cons that I recently heard was, will some of these platforms get hit when people want their money back unexpectedly. So for example, you have a financial crisis in your life and you're like, oh my gosh, I put some money with a crowdfunding platform and I need the money back. And my thinking was that that's not going to happen because you guys are very clear in kind of the ownership structure of like, hey, here's what you're getting into. This is not like a completely instantaneously liquid thing. And the fact that I think you guys cap is there still a cap at $1,500 on the investments? I think that's actually a really strategic, because it's strategic in a number of ways, the way you guys did that, because I think that makes sure there's enough opportunity for everybody to invest in the project. But then I never thought of the other benefit. The other benefit is that somebody's not putting in $25,000 and it's the entire life savings that they have.
Exactly.
So I never thought of that angle. Was that intentional, that angle, or was that accidental and you realize, oh, it's probably pretty good that we kind of cap these things at $1,500?
No, so it very much so. So we've got 3 membership plans. The base membership we call charter membership is caps the investor at $1,500. That is not a rule that we have to follow. We've chosen to do that. And for that, those 2 reasons. One is we want to spread the opportunity out by as many Canadians as possible. And 2, it helps people diversify their risk. But if you think about it, like our average investment from a charter member is about $400 per property. So the average investment is a lower amount, and our goal is to keep driving that down as we bring on more opportunities. People can invest across more properties. We do have an accredited investor membership plan. Accredited investors can invest more than the cap, so they can do $10,000 or $25,000 into the property. But those are a bit different because they are accredited. They confirm their accredited status, and then they're sort of making investment decisions with larger dollars. But yeah, that's the reason that we did cap it or do cap it at that $1,500. The other thing to note is when someone makes an investment into one of the Addy properties, the Securities Commission requires us to give 2 days rescission rights. So you've got basically 48 hours to be like, this was a mistake. I'm not happy with this investment, and I want my money back. So we take that 2 days and crank it to 60 days. So people have 60 days to make that same decision. So at any time within their 60 days, they can request a rescission, and we can cancel their investment and give them their money back. But once they are invested, yes, they are essentially locked in for the projected term of the property. Because if you think about it, if we've made $1 million investment into a property, we've collected that $1 million from a few thousand Canadians. That $1 million has been transferred to the general partner, and they've bought the building, or they're building the building, but the money is gone into that property. And so then at that point, we wait for the general partner to do whatever it is that they're going to do, execute on their plan, build the building, manage the building, renovate the building. And so each one of our properties has a projected return as well as a projected timeline. Sometimes those projected timelines can be shorter, and sometimes they can be longer. We've got an exciting announcement coming that most of our members know about because they've been seeing it. Is our building, the Lex downtown Vancouver here, is a 45-unit mixed-use building, 45 apartments upstairs and 2 commercial units, but the whole building was stratified before we even got into it. But it was running as an apartment building. And when the general partner bought it, we made the investment. 1,000 Canadians invested in it. The projected timeline was hold for 5 years and have a 5-ish% IRR coming out of the property. But what happened was the general partner, the market was hot, for the last 10 months. And so they decided to sell off those individual condo units. And so they've sold them all off. So they've sold off, all 45 are sold, and the 2 commercial units are sold. So we're going to be out of that property in about 11 months with a significantly higher IRR. So sometimes it can happen like that, where you're expecting 5 and you're out in less than 1 year. But the reverse could be true. You could be in for 5 and it could go for 6 or 7. Depends on the market conditions and what's going on with the property. And things can change as time goes on, but generally that's how it works. So when people make an investment, yes, they are locked in for that projected term of the property.
It's just fascinating to me what's happening here then. So as Addy grows and you have more people who are part of your kind of audience and network, it's almost like the community can start dictating what the developers might do at a scale we've never seen before, because right now it's been at municipal levels. Like somebody will propose a project and the municipality might kind of go towards a zoning and that kind of stuff, which will still happen. But now with your platform, as this kind of evolves over the next few years, you're really going to get some inputs from a big audience across the entire country on what type of real estate should be developed. And I know that we're just starting here. Like, I know this is still new stuff, but that's going to be super interesting, because you're going to be able to raise funds from people who trust Addy and the platform, and then almost pull everyone on where they want to direct these funds.
Yeah,
I guess, sorry, I guess this is stuff that you've already thought about. I'm just extrapolating this out. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is like, this gets super, I don't mean weird in a bad way, but like weird in like kind of a new way, because before it was like, hey, I'm a developer, I'm thinking about building this project. Let's see if I can pre-sell some of this stuff, get some investors into this kind of stuff. With what you're building here with Addy, the community has a lot of say, because they're going to dictate where they're going to put their money.
Well, they decide with their wallets, right? They decide what they're interested in wanting to invest in. And so we've got a very active Discord server with, there's over 1,000 of our community that are in that Discord. Each of our properties has its own channel. Some of the general partners are in Discord as well. And so you can hear what our members think. They're all talking to each other about what's going on in these different properties,
totally
different cities. It's awesome.
It's awesome. But wait till that's 100,000.
Yeah.
And then 1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm going. I'm like, holy smokes. And obviously you've extrapolated this all out already. So you're like, Tom, you're a slow learner. You're just thinking about this stuff now. But yeah, like that's totally different. Where the developers in a Discord channel with the community who's investing. Holy smokes.
If you look at it, so one of our properties is a development property, went to city council to get its development permits and the size of the building and all of that approved. And with many buildings, they get some pushback sometimes from sort of the NIMBY neighbors that like, no, it's too big, or the shadow of my yard or whatever.
Yeah.
And some of our community
a day, I'm getting a shadow 4% of the day. I have a shadow in a corner of my lot, so we must shut down this thing.
Yeah, and so some of the general partner was basically, we knew this city council event was coming up, and there was a way to submit your feedback or submit a letter to council, and so we just sort of initiated that within the Discord, saying, hey, if anybody wants to submit their feelings on this development that you are invested in, here's how you can do that to city council. So you've got 1,000 or 500 or whatever the number of investors in that property that are financially incentivized by supporting the development and creating more of those units, to be able to sort of speak their voice to city council by sending that email and saying, yes, I'm in support of X. So we definitely see that kind of stuff. The other side of it is that first affordable housing building, that development that we did in Hamilton that we've invested in. That kind of stuff is very hard to build. Developers need government support from many levels to make that stuff work. It just doesn't. They can't just do it. It doesn't normally pencil out without significant
the numbers support from the developers don't work on those projects usually.
And that's why they can't build it without someone, government levels, many levels of government assisting. And so we were able to take that opportunity and essentially say to our community, hey, here's a thing that you can invest in. We're telling you the financial returns are not the primary reason why you're investing. The social returns, the societal return is the primary reason why you would invest in this. The financial returns, sure, they're there, but they're less than it would be if it was just, hey, we're going to build a building as condos and sell it at market. And so we had I can't remember the number, over 1,200 investors say, yeah, I'll totally support below market rental development. Apparently there's about 7,000 units needed in the Hamilton area for below market rentals. So this is providing 96 new ones, brand new below market rental or affordable housing to the market. It's not making a big dent, but it's still 96 new ones.
Of all the things that you guys have said and done, I'm already a fan of Addy, but this is like, to me, next level. Like, this is something that gets my juices flowing, because that's a way that I feel I can be contributing directly back into the community. And I'm sure that's what everyone's telling you. This is the contribution.
Important. Yeah. Like imagine we were saying, oh, we're going to support an apartment building that's being built near a hospital and where it's only going to be rented to hospital staff so that they can walk to work and be near their place of work, rather than like in Vancouver. If you work at the main hospital in Vancouver, lots of people are driving an hour and a half each way to get to work, right? And so like our firefighters living in the community that the station is, rather than also commuting, hour and a half each way, right? There's lots of societal benefit that you could we could get involved with, put our community, or enable the community to be able to choose to support it, where the societal or the environmental benefit is higher than the financial benefit. You're not doing it necessarily from a financial point of view.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in the past, you would look at real estate investments maybe through like a REIT, and you're just looking at the rate of return because your mindset at that point is as an investment. But with your platform, you can look at it as an investment, but you could also look at it like, hey, I'm going to take a percentage of my funds and I want to contribute in a different way. So you naturally have a different mindset when you're using Addy. I'm not saying people wouldn't have had this in the past, and it's just an Addy thing, but I just mean you naturally kind of set that up. You predispose people to have those types of thoughts by the opportunities that you're putting in front of them. Whereas if you were just investing in a REIT off some online trading account or something, you're just really looking at like the name of the REIT and the branding and that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is totally, totally fascinating. And then I guess it gets broader because and I know you have so much to do here in Canada, but like, I guess it's really easy if you're like, hey, I found this Tuscan village that we want to restore in Italy. I'm just selfishly saying that because I wouldn't mind, hey, does anyone want to help restoring this Tuscan awesome, entire village somewhere in the middle of Italy? But I guess it's just a natural extension of Addy at some point. Again, I know you're focused right now, but this can go beyond local. You're going to be able to present people with opportunities everywhere at some point, or is that just not a part of the mission right now and it's just too far down the path?
The possibility is there for sure. Most likely what you're going to see next will be American properties.
Sure. Okay. I know I went for Tuscany pretty quick there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
You went to step
vineyards.
7.
I was starting to think vineyards and, yeah, sorry. US makes more sense first. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
But if you could do the US, like, yes, property is a property. And if you can set up the legal structure to make it work. Yes.
And I guess that's what I was
possible.
thinking. That's where your expertise really comes in, because you'll on the back end have to be handling the legal structures and navigating the regulatory bodies of each of these areas. But that's ultimately what you're bringing to the table, because you're making it frictionless for the Addy investor, because you're handling all that. You're handling all the back end stuff, as opposed to, a smaller group going in and trying to, form a corporation somewhere in a different jurisdiction and handling all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And this is why most people are like blocked from doing any of this kind of stuff, because they don't have enough money to do it themselves, or they don't have the deal flow to like find these properties and just even know about them. Even if you have the money, half the battle is just knowing that it's available, or that the opportunity is there. And then, there's a whole other side of it. Like, gosh, I live in Vancouver. Like, what do I know about Winnipeg property or Toronto property? And so people they generally buy or invest or kind of stay wherever it is they live. And so Addy gives people that ability to pick and choose. Like now, like I own a slice of 2 Montreal hotels. That's pretty cool. Like I never planned to own Quebec property before, right? And Addy enables me to do that in a very simple way from me as an individual point of view, where Addy handles the complexity of the structure and the corporation and all of that is managed by the software.
Yeah. And we were just speaking to a developer in Toronto who we were speaking to someone who works with developers in Toronto, and this particular developer was running the numbers on condo development on the corner in downtown Toronto that they were going to build, and a certain percentage of it had to be affordable housing. I mean, for good reason. But then the numbers kind of broke down on them. Just with the cost of material and the cost of labor, they didn't feel they could sell the other units at the price points they were going to have to make, a portion of this building, make it work. They actually backed away from the project entirely. Right. And it's there needs to be a backfill for, So that's a whole angle that I just never thought of. And the need is there, and the need is going to grow. So, okay. So anything else just come to mind? Now I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't prep you for this, but that's something I never thought about as a trend. What else, when you guys are speaking at Addy, do you think of over the next few years where this all can evolve into? Again, I'm totally throwing you out, I didn't prep you for this. Is
No, it's
anything come
fine.
to
I think,
mind?
yeah, so there's lots going on. Right now we're available to take investors from BC, Alberta, Ontario, and most recently we unlocked Quebec. The goal for us is to unlock the rest of Canada. We've got a few properties in Nova Scotia that are in due diligence. And so there's some interesting things, opportunities happening there. So people will see, we're trying to unlock more of the provinces. The way we think about unlocking a province is basically how it works. If we unlock Saskatchewan and we have one investor invest in one of the properties, that one person triggers us to have to do all the reporting into the Saskatchewan securities. And so what we try and do is like, can we get 1,000 people or 2,000 people in that province that are interested in investing, and that helps the math work for the additional costs of unlocking a province. So people, if they're interested, I know we get lots of comments online about like, when's Saskatchewan coming or when's Manitoba coming? We're working on it. The best thing people can do if they're interested is just create an account on the system. You can't invest yet, but we count that as like, oh, there's one more in Manitoba that's kind of in the waiting room, essentially waiting for us to unlock the province. That is how we're counting and trying to understand the demand from a specific province. So that's definitely helpful, and people will see more opportunities unlocking. And then, like I sort of alluded to, or not totally alluded to, but just kind of said, is that American properties at some point will be coming. And it's something we're actively looking into now. And so there's definitely lots of opportunities. And the other thing is, it's funny, you launch an iOS app. We're super pumped about the iOS app, and lots of people's questions are like, yeah, that's nice. When's the Android one coming? And we're like, geez, we just did this.
No satisfaction. Yeah.
So it's
Can we celebrate? Can we celebrate for half a minute, please?
Yeah. Can we just have a second? Yeah. We're just going to do a round of high fives and then back to work. But so yeah, Android will come, is going to come following along the iOS app. And so that is in the works. And like I said, we're doing 2 to 3 properties a month. We're working to ramp that up to 1 to 2 a week. So people will start seeing more volume.
Are going to be, I feel like the apps are going to be huge for you, because it was already a great platform, but having it on the phone where everybody's kind of addicted to their phone and walking around with their phone. And now you can allocate, a certain amount of dollars just in real time off an app like that once you have an account. I really think that's going to be a huge deal for you guys. Okay.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
And then I'm just curious, I guess at some point you're going to be pulled into the political arena too, because this whole idea of like fractional ownership on a crowdfunding platform, some politician somewhere is going to, somehow want to be connected with you guys just from the type of projects that you can fund. So that's coming your way too. If it hasn't already, you guys are going to definitely get pulled into that whole arena, just because housing, especially in Canada, is such a hot topic that you're going to get pulled in. I don't know in which way or how. And I would think it's in a positive way because of the type of stuff that you're doing. But that's coming your way. So you guys are going to have some interesting choices to make and some stuff to juggle on a few different fronts.
Yeah, we see it now when we're doing properties like the property we did in Kimberley, BC. It's a small town in BC. It's like 7,500 people. We had full conversations with the mayor. I did a Zoom interview with the mayor, talking about what we're up to, and that we're investing or enabling the community of Kimberley to be able to invest in. It's an apartment building there, but it's apparently the largest structure in Kimberley. And so we had a great chat with him about, he sees housing prices go up, and so enabling the Kimberley residents to be able to own a slice of this apartment complex, as well as some of the tenants in the complex, loved the idea and the concept of it. And so we see that kind of stuff where we speak to the mayors or certain the MLAs or whatever it is around what we're up to and how we're sort of democratizing access to the real estate ownership. And then the other side of it for us is what we call our differentiated capital is really what makes us special, right? We are so different than some, wealthy investor cutting $1 million check, that one wealthy individual just sort of writing that check and being done. We're able to do that $1 million check as well, but we've got 2,000 Canadians in behind it. And that is significantly different in how the, politicians look at us, how general partners look at us, because we're very unique in that way, where we can say to a general partner, a developer, hey, you can have all of your trades own a piece of the building that they're building. It's like an ESOP. Tech companies do ESOPs, is employee share program where they can own shares of the company as kind of an incentive to like stay in the company and not leave and work hard to build some value in the business. It's common in tech companies. It's not common really out there in the, other industries, especially real estate. But with Addy being involved, you can incentivize or enable your people, your accounting staff, your office staff, the carpenters, whoever, to own a slice of the building that they're actually hammering the nails in. And so that's a significant benefit. We see lots of developers coming our way just for that. They're just interested in that, of like, how do I, because they'll lose a carpenter, will go across the street to another deal because they're offered $1 more an hour, right? And so they're constantly losing staff. And so we can use our platform and our capital as a way to enable the general partners to, keep their team focused on what's going on, because now they're all financially not just being paid their wage, they're incentivized to on the finances of the building. So if it turns out the way everybody hopes it'll turn out, they can also profit from having a sort of an ownership stake in it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because as this grows, so like as we evolve over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, which I know sounds like forever for most people, but for people who get started in real estate investing, you typically build up a portfolio and it's beneficial, obviously, to your net worth. That's why usually everybody begins getting into real estate. It's almost like the modern day savings account, right? You don't go to the bank anymore with a savings account. With the monetary policy, you look at real estate. Yeah, having said that, it's almost like Addy's like the savings account that's like gone from the bank. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to save, but I have this app, Addy, that is like my savings account. Anyway, but what I was going to say is that as people are investing with you over time, and they're benefiting from it and their net worth changes, you could come to a point in time where projects in the community that maybe you never considered, also like the wing of a hospital, which used to have one name on it, the big, like you said, somebody writes the big fat check and their name's on the side, but it could be like a percentage of all the earnings from everybody are directed because we need a hospital in Winnipeg. And the funding, is just too slow politically. And there's like this donation angle that comes in and builds the freaking wing of a hospital. I know I'm going like way out there and all over the place, but it just, as you map it forward, it really gets powerful.
Yeah, like there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah, the power of that community is strong. And really, that's what you're bringing together. Like the real estate investments are really interesting, of course, and that's how you get people there. But the real responsibility for you guys and the Addy platform will be protecting that community and kind of guiding it and having principles, because it could be a very, very powerful thing that you're building here. Steve, you be careful with this, what you're building here. Okay, I have something for you that's maybe a curveball, because I can get you on something that you haven't thought about before. What about estate planning? So I buy something with Addy, and then what? I guess that just becomes part of my estate, and I can pass on my Addy ownership as part of the estate, and someone would reach out to you saying, hey, we need to kind of move this ownership over as part of an estate. Have you dealt with anything like that yet?
Yeah, we get asked about it. There's a blog post about that on our website around essentially, it's an asset that you've got that should be listed in your will. Everybody should get their own advice as to how to manage that in their own situation, but no different than any other asset that you've got around, your I don't know, whatever other online investments people might have.
Your life insurance policies, like everything that you
stuff.
have.
If you've got Bitcoin in ShakePay, if you've got this and that, like whatever it is, you should have that all broken down in your will as to what are these assets. And again, that's no investment advice from me. People should speak to someone who gives them their professional advice for their specific situation. But yes, it's like any other asset that they would own.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so there's a project open right now. You're trying to get to 1 to 2 a week, and the best way to get notified of that is to join to make an account. I guess that's going to be the cleanest way to get updates on it. Anything?
Yeah, if people make an account, I can give you a special link. So if people watch this, they can sign up through the link, and if they become a member, the system will put $25 into their wallet. A little kind of a thank you bonus.
Yeah, cool. So we'll definitely take you up on that. So if you're listening to this, in the show notes of this episode, we'll have that link. Thanks for that, Steve. I didn't know you were going to do that, so I appreciate that. And then anything else? I love chatting with you because you go through it really nice and quick. It's kind of like my speed. So thank you. Anything else that you want to share about Addy right now that like someone people don't understand, or you don't think gets out there enough? Anything coming to mind on that?
Sure. There's kind of two things, I guess. One is COVID ending. We're back in the real world of events and meetups and stuff. So we've been doing them. We've done one in Toronto, one in Montreal, one in Vancouver in the last 3 weeks, and we're prepping a Calgary one. So we'll do more. So people are interested in Addy and what we're doing and just have questions. That's a great way. We just find sometimes people just want to come out and just sort of chat as part of their investigation of what we're doing. So if you're interested in that, you'll always see the details on the website. And then the other side, which I think is very important for people to understand, is we're very different in how we charge. We're a membership model, right? To be a member on the platform as a charter member, it's $25 a year. That's it. Not $25 a month. It's $25 a year. And there's no fees. So there's no assets under management fee. There's no withdrawal fee. We don't take a lift on the property. There's no promote. There's nothing. So people can make an investment into whatever property they like that comes onto the platform. And that money is a direct investment. We're not carving anything out of their investment for fees. And we're super unique in that way, where we're just a membership-based platform. So it's $25 a year. It gives you access to be able to make investments for the whole year.
Are you calling that out? Are you calling that out so specifically because other companies are doing it differently, or just real estate in general? Usually there's some fees somewhere.
Generally, there's fees everywhere, right? Look at how REITs operate, how general partners operate, how other fractionalized, platforms operate. They all have this basically similar fees all over the place.
We're a brokerage. You can say it. We're a brokerage. There's fees in real estate. The brokerage fee. I look at the brokerage model sometimes and they're like, how does this even alive still? So totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it wasn't aligned for us and what we were trying to do. Half of what we're doing is like the goal for us is to eliminate barriers to entry. This whole thing came about as like, can we use technology to cut those costs down so that instead of making an investment into a specific property, normally there's minimum 100 grand, minimum 250 grand. Like we see it now. A great opportunity will come our way and the general partner will say minimum check is $5 million. And so everything will be great. Everything looks lovely, but we just have to say, ooh, 5 million is a bit much for our community to take down fast enough. So we opt out of it. And that's super common in how this real estate world works. And so what we've been able to do is eliminate a lot of those costs so we can take literally $1 investments into properties. And so the membership model is very aligned with that, of just eliminating these barriers to entry and keeping ourselves shoulder to shoulder with our community.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically what's happening is technology got rid of the friction in communication. And now we're entering the era where technology is getting rid of the friction in like the monetary world, like at all levels. Like real estate is probably has so much friction. And what you're now doing is you're using technology to remove all that friction. And this is something kind of new. Like we haven't seen that. We've had that. And I know your tech background, we've had that in technology for so long on so many levels. It's removed the friction in the movement of information, mostly, sometimes in the movement of money a little bit, but now this is the real change. This is where there's like companies like you who are making the friction that was involved. It's not even the friction. Like you just couldn't do $10 invest. You couldn't put $100 into a Montreal hotel before. So we're now entering the era where it's not just the friction is going, but there's opportunities opening up, which we couldn't have even guessed really 5 years ago.
Normally the paperwork would be done with a pen and a lawyer would have to touch it. And so just printing the paper, literally the physical paper, to send it to you, is it in the mail? Are you doing it in person? And then a lawyer has to, or a notary, somebody has to process that investment and then move your money and you wiring it and just all the things make it so it's like, you can't take $100 investment, it's too small. Many times you can't do $10,000, right? There's lots of them that are $250,000 is the smallest, right? And so that's all we're trying to do is use our technology to eliminate the barrier and enable people to invest whatever prudent amount works for them. If it's $1, awesome. If it's $52, great. If it's $564, perfect. Like whatever they choose to do, they can do that. We are not in the way of blocking them, saying, oh, it's minimum $200 per investment or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just kind of, I don't know why today this is really just blowing my mind a little bit, because the democratization of real estate, I always thought of like, Addy is democratizing real estate because you can put like $10 or $50 or $100. But really, I never thought about it on the community. You get this consensus mechanism from the community in the future of where to put the funds. And if there's not enough funds from the community, the project doesn't happen. So it's like stuff that shouldn't be built doesn't get built because there really just was not enough financial support for that. Whereas in the world we have today, you have single individuals who can decide, okay, we're going to build this project over here. We'll get some funding for it that maybe, you know, and maybe there's some political ties to that and just stuff gets built that really shouldn't get built in the wrong area, where you have this weird consensus mechanism that seems much more real because it's people kind of saying, yes, we want to build this and we're voting with our dollars. Like, here you go, here's the money, go put it there. And it's not like a political vote or a favor of some sort to a community. It's actually the consensus mechanism for this build is here's the money for it. Here you go. And there's enough money to build the project or to proceed with the funding of a project or own portion of that project. So yeah, it's fascinating. I love it. Very cool. Steve, okay. Anything else before I get you to kind of share some contact info?
No, that's great.
Yeah, cool. Maybe I was good. Yeah, sorry. I was kind of going, you were sharing a lot of information and I was probably going fast too. So I enjoyed these. Thank you for this, Steve. So if you want to follow Addy, can you give us like, I don't know, the URL, the app, I don't know, Twitter, whatever you want. Can you please share?
Yeah. So if you go to addyinvest.com is where you can see the website, sign up for an account. If you're on an Apple iPhone, you can go to the App Store and just search Addy or Addy Real Estate or Addy Invest and download the app. And you can sign up and get started there. You'll see there's a property on the system now. There's a couple more in the works. So there's lots of opportunities that are coming. And if you want to just kind of hang around and lurk in the community, you can sign up for an account. You don't have to be a member yet. You can join our Discord and chat with, 1,000 or so other members and kind of sit on the sidelines and just watch the property updates come in, chat with other people, ask your questions, show up to one of our meetups. And whenever you feel ready or comfortable, you can dip your toe in.
And how do you get access to the Discord? It's once you become a member, you get a link or something?
No, I'll send you the link as well. So if people want to come into our Discord without even having an account, you can do that. It restricts that they can just view only. They can't type anything. But you can read and see what's going on there.
And the meetups that's where the meetups are announced, probably also on the Discord and that kind of stuff.
We announce them everywhere. Yeah. Twitter, Discord, our blog. So the meetups are like 50% existing members, 50% people just wanting to check us out. Okay. I had a lady we did a meetup in Toronto and her and her husband came and she's like, I invested $6 in one property. She's a member. She paid her $25. She invested $6 in one property. And she was just like, I don't know how this is like, what's going on? And she's just like, I'm following it. I kind of get how this works, but she's like, and then she brought her husband to the meetup and she's like, I just want you to just explain what's going on and how this works. And I also kind of just wanted to meet you guys and see that there's real people behind the business. And now she's on fire. She loves what's going on. She upgraded to a believer membership. And so sometimes people just want to come to the meetup and say hi and meet some of our team and ask their questions face to face. So it's whatever works for the individual. We're quite a transparent company, I think, and the community is amazing. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, very cool. Awesome, Steve. Thanks for all this. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're obviously fans. So thank you. Really appreciate you doing this. Thanks, Steve.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.